Well, here we go. This is the first like solo live stream I've done ever. So bear with me if it's a little like scuffed. Not much I can do there. And okay, good. I also see Tony, the already proactively disproving the unfair ranking of Russ by a Magnus apologizer. I like Russ. Don't get me wrong. I think he's cool. But like Magnus is just dope. There's not much I can do there, you know. He's really cool. He's magic. He's red. What's not to love, you know? I guess preemptively, I am curious if anyone has like seen my Primarch video, which to be fair, that is like my big one, but I guess it is prior viewing like requirements, some homework, if you will. So yeah, this is my original Primarch ranking. As you can see, it's completely accurate, except for one placement because I lost a revision I did. I have no clue where it is. The only change I would give to this so far, all changes I made before literally this stream, is in a video. I also don't remember which video. I moved Korax up one slot because I realized that Korax is an absolute, like, dude, I love him so much. And I, today, having made a video on every single Primarch except for Alfarius because I'm scared to. I'm nervous about it, man. It's so complicated. In reality, I just need to read the actual books. I need to read the Alpha Legion books, which I haven't done yet. Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions about Alfarius, apparently. At least according to the, like, Live from the Black Library channel, which I need to delve into a little more. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do here, obviously, I'm going to reset it. Because I want to recreate it and at least update my opinions. I want to stretch it out. This is the new one. This is the official 2024 Primarch tier list. With also people in my audience able to argue about it, because I want to hear all of your thoughts on these. I want to hear reasons why some of my rankings are wrong. Let's see. Hurt my spirit to see Gilliman so low. I will see. We'll see if I change that, though no promises. But okay, I guess just hit it real quick, because the first one we're talking about is Fulgrim. Fulgrim is a pick. I gotta say, I think Fulgrim is super dope in like heresy stuff. His story, absolutely beautiful and fantastic, though he's held back by the fact that I just don't like Slaanesh shit. I don't at all. I think Slaanesh is kind of like, it's not even being like a prude or something. I don't care about the sex and drug style or just an excess. It's fine. I think it can have some really cool imagery. I'm just bored of it and ambivalent. So like, when Fulgrim is falling in the actual like Horus Heresy book, he is so cool, I gotta say. But like, everything afterwards, I don't know, man. He's a big snake. So like, I still think he's a C tier Primarch, to be completely honest. Though a funny one. He's got a lot of like really interesting moments. I do really love his constant attempts to clone Ferrus Manus, or at least get Fabius to do it, and then try and convince Ferrus to go traitor, but failing every time. That is a great little storyline. But I don't know, like, I do think Fulgrim's, like, he's gonna return soon, I imagine. A lot of things keep kind of hinting at that. I want him to return. I think his new model would be absolutely sick. Oh no, one of my rankings is gone. I gotta fix that. I don't like having this. Let me delete that. Change this, because this one still stays the same. Because I'm still putting Perturabo in his own special incel tier, I gotta say. I'm not a fan of Perturabo. I'm not. I don't think I ever will be. I still don't like him. He's just... Okay, so this is actually something I explained in Voxcast to Nowhere, an episode I was on their podcast, which is actually a really fun podcast. I'm really, really down for it. Hopefully we'll be on again soon. Voxcast to Nowhere, friend of the channel, go check them out. Especially my episode. But when we're talking about the Primarchs, a big thing I brought up about Perturabo is that a big issue is that he just reminds me of people I hate in real life. It bothers me. Oh, wait, chat message. Fulgrim was pretty cool in Dark Imperium, as short as that was, but the fact that we didn't get the scene where he reclaimed control from the sword just remains so bad. Yes, actually true. That is a thing I have a major issue with. I am so sad that that sequence with Fulgrim happens off screen. Because that feels like that should be a really cool moment in like a really impactful spot. I don't know. Uh, like, I want that segment where he breaks out of the painting instead of like, oh yeah, I was out the whole time. That's stupid. I hate it. Can you bring back F tier so we can push pretty lower? You know what? Good point. Let me do that. Add a row below. F. I don't like the colors now. It's fucking me up. It's got to be in sequential order, or else I'll be upset. All right, so no one is going to go in F tier. I want to make that clear. No one is going there. It is just to rank Perturabo lower. Because I don't like him. He reminds me of a lot of people that I've met and had to deal with in real life, sadly, which is the people who cannot just communicate their fucking feelings at you. That's not even saying, like, you need to have emotional intelligence to be around me, or, like, I don't know, if you have struggle with that kind of, like, vulnerability or just talking to someone. Not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the people who you meet that are, like, cannot discuss things, they're always passive-aggressive and, like, really just upset. And, like, just dealing with that in my life. The most annoying people I've ever fucking dealt with. It infuriates me. Like, I don't know. I also can completely understand why he's there and why he's the way he is. It's completely understandable when your dad makes basically a joke child by combining some, like, two really nasty fucking curses as your, like, Primarch powers. You both have the curse of you will instantly understand everything you read, and, like, you'll just learn instantly, so you don't have to get that feeling of discovery. But on the other hand, you're also constantly aware of the Eye of Terror and feel it watching you, which is, that sucks, man. And then the Emperor sends him onto, like, literally the worst jobs ever. I understand why he fell, but I also think he's an annoying man-child, and still firmly believe that he is an incel. His next up is Sanguinius, and this is the one that people got, like, the most upset about in my original video. Which I should say, that original video, a lot of it is just me fucking around. Like, it is a joke video, but all my placement is my actual opinion. Though, I at least did... I guess I really exaggerated a lot of it, like my reasoning, but my placements is all completely true. The one part that always will hold true in my heart is, Sanguinius is really just a boring Conrad Kurz, but I don't think he's a bad character or Primarch, which is why I want to put him in C tier. Like, in C tier, it's more of like, I don't fuck with him, but alright, I can see why people like him. And, like, another thing that keeps popping up with my placement of Sanguinius is people being like, yeah, but he's such a good leader. He's so, like, such a cool warrior. I don't care about that. I want the vibes. I don't know, man. It's also just my opinion of the Blood Angels, where, I don't know, the Blood Angels exist. They've never really done a lot for me. I think they get a lot of attention, and the attention they get, you know what, pretty cool. I think the characters that they have, I'm jealous of. I'm jealous of, like, the treatment on the tabletop as well. You know, we're gonna stay on this streak, at least, unless there's any more thoughts about Sanguinius. But, Lionel Johnson, I gotta say, is another... it's just another C tier for me, to be completely honest. I think the actions of Lionel Johnson are cool. He has, honestly, one of the best Primarch aesthetics as well. Especially the new one. Like, oh my god. Oh, let's see. Come on, man. Fulgrim is the worst together with Morty. I don't think Fulgrim's the worst. I don't think he's that bad. I think just Fulgrim plays on the aesthetics that I'm not into, but also the fact that Fulgrim, as he acts... I really like flawed characters. I like characters that are pieces of shit. So you'll see a lot of this. The worse a character is as, like, a person, except for Perturabo, because he hits a couple of, like, really key personality triggers that annoy the fuck out of me, like my own pet peeves. Fulgrim is super fun in the fact that he's egotistical and petty. Like, the whole, like, Rylanor bit where he's just trying to, like, fuck with his dreadnought, his old son. And then, like, the worst part of it is that he failed, and the nuke getting set off in his face didn't hurt him, it hurt his pride. I like that. Flawed. Yeah, he sucks. He, like, completely is a piece of shit. But yeah, Lionel Johnson, I love his, like, return, to be honest. I think he's so fucking cool. His, like, style is dope. He's got one of the best drip of all the Primarchs, you know? But on the other hand, I just find him a little boring. And some of this, I will say, is coming from the fact that Descent of Angels, the Horus Heresy book, is probably one of the worst Warhammer books I've ever read in my fucking life. And it made Lionel Johnson, because that is canonical, like, Jesus Christ, he's a fucking moron in that book. There's the segment that kills me, because the idea of the scene and the whole, like, sequence is very well done. But the part specifically where, like, that one governor is, like, going to bomb their flagship, where his whole thing is he's like, I put a nuke on board. Why did you put a nuke on board my ship? Well, I am upset because you're trying to get rid of the gods. You worship gods, no one told me. We didn't tell you because we hid it. And it's a back and forth for what I think in the conversation is like 5 minutes of just a loop of, why didn't you tell us you were worshiping gods? Because we hid it, and we hid it in the trees. Where did you hide it? In the trees and caves. It's like, it's such a dumb sequence because Lionel Johnson, from everything else, is characterized as a man of action. So, I don't know. Though, I will also say, his fight scenes are absolutely goated. The fight with him and Russ, I think, is fantastic. It's a really good way of playing the two characters that are, I guess, the most martial and warrior aspect, and really hitting the two vibes of them. And playing off their planetary culture, especially with the end bit where Russ is kind of like laughing about the duel and being like, classic, brother versus brother, what a great time. And then Lionel Johnson is more like, this is a fight for honor, because his whole knightly upbringing. Finally, a positive one. I am going to put Dorn in S tier. I still think he's an S tier Primarch for me. And this one is not even purely because, like, I think Dorn is a specially written character. I think he's pretty alright. The main reason is there's a special place in my heart for Dorn, as he is, like, my first real, like, entry point into this hobby, which I feel like everyone has. I feel like everyone has, like, one character that they really invested in early on in their Warhammer fandom days, like, right when they're starting out. And Dorn was mine, because in If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device, Dorn was my favorite character. So I started with him. And also, I think he's basically... we'll see what people think. I feel like Dorn is a more interesting Gilliman to me, because he has a lot of Gilliman's traits, but Dorn is more fun about it because he's an asshole, because he's kind of a dick, and that part I really enjoy. It's just everything about Dorn. He's just a fun character in the fact that, like, he's just kind of a dick, and I really like that. It's just funny whenever he's he accidentally throw shade at, like, another character because he's just being honest. The bit where he very, like, matter-of-factly tells Perturabo that his buildings are shit and that Dorn's better is so funny. Gilliman would never. Gilliman would find a way to diplomatically deal with it. By the way, in current books, they made Perturabo hate Gilliman more than Dorn. That's not okay. That's Dorn's entire personality. Ow. You know, that's fucked up. That's fucked up, man. that ruins it. The fun is that they're like big rivals. God. Fucking attack received. Ouch. This one, you know what? I will actually change. This is a significant update. I will put Ferrus Manus in B tier. Looking into him, Ferrus is kind of the fucking best. He is a bro. I don't think he's a top tier for me, only because, like, the sheer just lack of content for him. Ferrus, when I actually looked into him for the video, there was a lot of stuff that I was honestly surprised with, like, damn, he's pretty fun. He has a lot of really cool interactions with his brothers. I think, even besides, like, his genuine friendship with Fulgrim, which I really like the story of, I think their beginning of the friendship is such, like, God, it's so cool. It's just so nice. And then later on, as it develops with other characters, like him meeting Vulcan for the first time is a really fun scene. That bit where he's like, I don't know about this new guy, Pops, and then sees him in action is like, I respect this man, is really fun. I don't know, Ferrus doesn't seem to be... You know what? I will always take decapitation jokes about Ferrus. I mean, whenever I talked about him in my videos, I always did my best to fit in as many as possible. I guess moving on to the next one. Let's hit the next one. Angron, you know, I'm probably gonna put him in another B tier. I don't remember what I put him in before. I think Angron is a character where there are aspects to him I unironically enjoy, like writing wise. There's actually a short story in like Tales of Heresy, like book 10 of the Horus Heresy, that I really like, where it details Karn and Angron meeting. I really like that Angron has this pretty fucked up just backstory to him, where goddamn he was given a shit hand, and the fact that he is the way he is, and is kind of aware of that while he is still aware of, you know, anything when the corn shit didn't kick in. The whole aspect that there's like really cool dialogue I love with Gilliman, where he's yelling at Gilliman and like calling him privileged for having like a family and like people that loved him and cared about him because he can't relate. I think it's a great scene. Also, just the fact that like Angron in some aspects acts like just a wild animal, since, you know, he never really had a solid upbringing. Then other than that, it's, you know, it's pure aesthetic shit. I just like how Angron looks. I like that he's a big, just rampaging corn monster. I think it's fun. Yeah, I also just don't have any strong opinions on Angron, to be completely honest, other than, like, I think his descent into, like, corn aggro, like, anger is really fun. And then he basically becomes, as, like, a character, he becomes really much in the aspect that he is a monster, like a big bad, for a cool character to take down. That's kind of the function of him narratively, which I believe is like needed. It's a big thing I see in Warhammer, where a lot of people don't examine 40k like it's a story. They picture it more like it's real history. So if everything doesn't make pure logical sense, or if it, like, just stuff happens as, like, a narrative tool, it's somehow seen as bad. I don't know. I think Angron has a necessity to be the big bad that is taken down every, like, time he appears. That's his point. So, he serves that role. I think it's a fair thing. That also plays into my defense of Abaddon. I believe Abaddon needs to be the, like, big bad. He needs to be, like, the big bad evil guy, so he has to fail all the time. Lorgar's a D tier. I gotta be real. I don't like Lorgar. I hate his personality. I hate his personality so much, but not as much as Perturabo. Lorgar is such a man-child, but yet again, I completely understand why he is the way he is. I think he's very annoying. Just like I think a lot of the word-bearer characters are annoying to me. But I also think that, like those word-bearer characters, they're all fantastic villains in whatever story they pop up in, because oh my god, they are just so unapologetically shitty. Like, it's ridiculous how much they just suck. Oh my god, it is hysterical to me. There's actually another short story with Lorgar in Tales of Heresy. There's a story of him like taking over a religious planet, and then like as they're like falling to chaos in the beginning. I think it's like right after the whole thing with Monarchia being burned down. But, like, I don't know. He's just... What can you say about Lorgar? He's bald. He's... I realize I make a lot of bald jokes when it comes to some of the Primarchs, which I can say, I'm balding. Give me 10 years, and I will be a bald man, or at least have a really bad comb-over. See, Lorgar is great because he's easy to hate. I do think he's fun to hate, don't get me wrong, but I think Erebus is a bit more scummier. No one will go in F tier. No, I cannot put anyone in F tier. It has to be more of an insult to Perturabo. Lorgar and Perturabo are both conflicting characters for me, as they work in their roles, but they're still so frustrating to actually read. They're just not enjoyable when they're on the page. Yes. Yeah, actually, yes. I think you put it in the way I've been trying to put it. It's just very much in that aspect. Oh my god. They're petulant man children. They're pretty badly adjusted in general. And I understand why they're the way they are. I think their core story is good. I think Lorgar's core plot, like his fall to chaos, is a lot more interesting than Perturabo. But my problem is, yeah, like his personality is just rancid. I hate it. It makes me so annoyed because it reminds me of people I don't like in real life, where it's just some of those traits. Mainly the fact that also Lorgar is another character who acts like a man-child, like literal just child. There's another quote with Gilman, and you know the worst part? I referenced it in like a video once. I cannot find the quote. So if one of you actually knows the source of it, please let me know. There's a quote from Gilliman where Gilliman talks about Lorgar and says basically like Lorgar is a child, and the fact that like if something pleases him or like he likes you, it's like he's just, you know, your best fucking buddy. He's so kind to you. The moment you do something that slightly annoys him, he, like a child, he immediately hates you, starts throwing a tantrum, and like gets super upset. Which is yet another situation of like, my man, just please talk about your issues. Just communicate. Though also, Corfaron really put his fucking nails in him. Corfaron's a piece of shit. I think Corfaron is probably one of the scummiest characters in Warhammer. And that's saying something, because one of the other most scummiest Warhammer characters is Erebus. So, fitting that they're in the same legion. You know, actually, what was really fun is I don't remember if my original ranking of the Primarchs, I don't think I got many Lorgar apologists in my comments. So, who knows? Maybe it's a popular opinion. Though most people were really, they were more upset about the whole Sanguinius is a boring Conrad Kurz opinion, which I still stand by and I will not change. I can move on to the next one, Alfarius, which I'm also gonna slap in B tier. Cause like, man, Alfarius is a character where I just don't know a lot about him, is the problem. I don't know a lot about him, but pure off vibes, I enjoy him. The one bit I have read with Alfarius is the Alpha Legion Horus Heresy book, which I immediately am blanking on the name of. I really like that book. Shit. Yeah, I don't remember. It had John Grammaticus and the Cabal. That's all I remember the book was. But I really liked it. I thought it was a great time. And Alfarius is a really interesting Primarch. At least out there, Alfarius Omegon for who knows which one is which I think is such a goofy character concept. I really enjoy that. But the whole aspect in that book where Alfarius, like the manner he carries himself in, is in that character concept of like, he doesn't need to outwardly be a dick to you. Because there's a character in that book where he's just being an asshole to Alfarius. Like, he's trying to order him around, and he's just a dude in like the Imperial Guard, like a captain. And Alfarius the whole time is just kind of quietly like, all right, man, because the whole time he has a scheme in place to like kill him. Oh, Legion, yeah, thank you. Just Legion. Yeah, Alfarius is a pick I do purely on vibes, because I think when like the Alpha Legion are written at their best, they are written in a method I like, which is characters that are actually intelligent, written intelligently. So it doesn't feel like they're just winning. Because 40k has both aspects of this. You have characters where they're like hyper intelligent geniuses, and you're told how smart they are, or how they're like just absolute master tacticians, when then it's written how they're doing said things. Like they're in a scene, it feels like things are just working in their favor. I do feel like Alpha Legion has the tendency to really be the haha, I had a plan the whole time. But then at their best, it's set up in a way where you're like, oh, this is so justified. Like, I believe that they set this up like such a long time ago. They had sleeper agents all over, and everything was so prepared. Yeah, I don't have much else to really say about Alfarius. So I'll move on to my boy Conrad Kurz, who I like so much, I made an entire video of why I believe he's the best Primarch. Or at least the best written. Because, holy shit, Conrad Kurz's Primarch book is so fucking good. It is fantastic. Oh man. The part that also gets me with Conrad is the fact that he is a character where you're just like, you're so close to getting it, you're so close to the point. And then he takes it too far, because he's just fucking insane. His whole really strong sense of justice and right, though really in a black and white, like, setting where any minor offense is just horrible murder, which is the problem. Like, you know, actually bringing justice in like order to places important. And then he goes down the line of, and then I'm gonna skin them, and it's like, no, dude, my man, stop. And also the aspect that I adore about Kurz is his big storyline is the fact that he can tell the future, and so he gets all of these portents of the future, and he sees himself like in these being a horrible monster, and the only way he can justify to himself anything that he does, all of his actions are completely accurate, like correct and justified purely due to the fact that like he believes fate is predetermined. You not have free will. Everything is decided before you. And that aspect, like, well, I have to. I was made this way by Pops. I gotta be a monster. When no, he's wrong. And like that's the part I love. I love the fact he's wrong. Sanguinius has a better outlook on his like foresight powers. Because Sanguinius is well adjusted. Sanguinius was raised by a decent group of people who actually cared about him, which is what makes him boring. You heard it here first. Having a good childhood makes you boring. I'm not kidding. But yeah, that's my bit with him, with Kurz. I really like the fact that Kurz is a piece of shit, but he has to mentally justify being a piece of shit. When you really dig deep, like, especially in the Primarch book he's in, he enjoys it, and he was pretending he doesn't. But there are so many times where he's doing something, like, really fucked up, purely for fun. And, like, he's doing it because he's bored. There's a whole sequence where he's, like, he has some guy as his pet flying this void ship he took over. And the guy it's from his perspective, and he's talking about how every once in a while Kurz would sneak up on him and just take fingers and shit from him because he's bored. Like, the man's not committing a crime. Kurz is just lying to himself. I think Kurz is one of those characters because he had an actual end for his journey. They were able to write that actual character arc so they couldn't for others. Yes, that is very true. That is a very good point that I think a lot of people don't bring up when it comes to the Primarchs and how they're written. And it is the sad fact that a lot of these Primarchs like have really bad writing and really bad just general storytelling because the authors had to write in reverse, which is really difficult. It is so hard because you can have like really good arcs for these characters because you know where they end up. So their beginning is really ironic. Shit like Horus, characters like Fulgrim, you have these moments where it's really ironic, and then their fall is super well done. And then you get aspects like Magnus, which I adore Magnus, don't get me wrong, but Magnus's fall is really forced. The whole bit with like the Space Wolves attack on Prospero, like that whole aspect where he's just making decisions really weirdly, I think it feels really bad. Like, it doesn't feel in character for Magnus. But on the other hand, you have to view it from the aspect of these writers are doing the best they can with the difficult job of we have the end point for these characters. Here's the start point. Make it work. Because not everyone is going to get out cleanly. I think some are really just, like, really well done when they have that end. Because actually, yeah, thinking about it, the ones that are actually for sure dead, shit like Ferris, Sanguinius, and Conrad Kurz, they all have really interesting character arcs, and their death like hits, and they're just fun all around characters because they can kind of do what they want in that brief little period where they're alive. So I think that's a fantastic point. Yeah, the aspect that happens a lot that you see in screenwriting, which is my realm of expertise when it comes to writing, an aspect where you can read something and be like, okay, you very clearly had a couple of key points, and like you have some scenes that are unironically awesome, which 40k has a lot of that. The Horus Heresy hits that a lot, where you're like, damn, these scenes, they hit super hard. But like writing to get to the scene is difficult because you have to force a character to be in the right position. And a lot of times doing that is, again, difficult. It's the same deal as like writing in reverse. Like, I don't envy the Black Library authors when they're writing the Horus Heresy. I think a lot of them did really well. It's just, goddamn, that is such a difficult job to be handed. To like, all right, figure it out, bucko. Get these characters in the right position and make the fans happy with it. Which is where a lot of the issues in the Horus Heresy book series actually comes up in, which is very fair. But in the meantime, just quickly ranking Russ. Good old A tier. I think Lehman is very cool. He's a very fun character. I adore when he shows up. I adore his scenes with other Primarchs and his brothers and all that. I think he's a fun character. I like me some Viking shit. I don't care about the wolf stuff. Never been a wolf person. I don't, Lehman is a character I also don't have, like, that much to say about, to be completely honest. Because I just overall think he's fun. I think he's a very fun character. Russ is also fun for me, but I've realized that he might also be the one Primarch where the chapter itself has eclipsed him in the recent books. Yeah, which is sad for me, because I am not a big Space Wolf guy. Because, like, the wolf aesthetic's not my thing. I want them to be more Viking than they are werewolf. Because I just don't care. It's the same thing with, like, Blood Angels. It's like, whatever. The whole vampire shtick doesn't get me. They stress more the Viking part in the process. That's good, I guess. Still, just, like, I don't know. The book I know for sure I need to read is the one where they go to war against the Grey Knights and the Inquisition. Because I've heard that's pretty cool. And I like their chapter master. It's Logan Grimnar, if I'm not mistaken. Logan Grimnar is pretty dope. And there's a lot of really cool Space Wolf characters that I want to know more about. And also, I guess, read the Space Wolf Omnibus, which I've also heard is fantastic. In fact, whenever I was doing research, I made that one guide to start reading 40k video, which I honestly think I could do better now. I think all my videos I could do better. I look back at some of my old Primarch videos and I'm like, ugh, this is disgusting. I hate this. I think a lot of people mentioned that Space Wolf is a fantastic introduction and is a really good omnibus. Okay, yeah, the first Space Wolf omnibus. I've heard good things, and I'm curious about it. I think it'd be a fun read, or I guess fun listen, because I listened to it at work on Audible. The second omnibus is one of the worst 40k book series that's ever been done. That is saying a lot. There are some fucking stinkers in Black Library. So if the Space Wolf Omnibus, the second one, is that bad, oh boy. But, let's move on to Jagatai Khan, which I'm also gonna... Hot take, I think Jagatai Khan is very cool. Though, again, this is, like, much like in my previous, ranking of him, I have not read the books in the Horus Heresy where he pops up. And I know that some of the books that the Khan is in are apparently not very good, which worries me. Because, I think that he could very much be a character where the concept of him is cooler than the execution. If a scene where they go to a strip club in Space Marine armor? Fucking excuse me? Huh. Oh, Jesus. Yes, also, you do hear a cat. Is that actually audible on stream? I don't know what... I can't hear it, like... Obviously, I can hear my own mic. But, what, you guys just hear purring or something? Cat, also, you can't... Stop staring at Sanguinius. That is my cat Ripley, or Servitor Cat, as some of the comments have called her. She just got face to face with my monitor, nose touching my monitor to Sanguinius, which I am offended by. She's my cat. She should know better. She should know that Curse is an easy S tier. My cat does not have good taste. Sanguinius is boring and lame. Curse is better. Dorn is better. And the character we're talking about, Jagatai Khan, is better. In Jagatai Khan, I at least see a lot of dialogue exchanges with him that are really fun. Which, I mean, is the thing everyone hears. Everyone knows that, like, man, he fucked up Mortarion. Something good. Like, he put him down real hard. I want the Khan to be cool, and I really hope he is, I hope that his execution is... Because I see a lot of things in 40k. Where, like, the core parts of the story are significantly cooler sometimes than the actual execution of it. Where the writing of the events is lame and cringe and dumb. But then meanwhile, you have the parts on, like, the wiki or on YouTube channels like mine, where someone explains it and you're like, this sounds sick. Because yet again, you're building a story in your own mind, and that story in your mind is always going to be better than the story on the page. Because it's just what you do. When you leave things up to interpretation, you will make your ideal version of it. And then when someone comes along and makes a official version, it might just not be as good. Yeah, I guess Khan depends on how much you value cool moments versus journey between them. Exactly. Yeah, and then, yeah, you are correct. His disappearance is super anticlimactic. Like, super. He literally just said, like, I'm going to the webway. I'm going to fuck up the Dark Eldar. And that was the extent of it. which is so lame. It's another Fulgrim issue of like Fulgrim getting unpossessed just happening off screen. I feel like they could have just done better with that specifically. And I guess that really sums up Jagatai Khan. He's a fast boy with some absolutely banging dialogue. Now for I'm sorry, Tony, I'm sorry. Guilliman. Robute Guilliman, who is a firm D tier, right next to his best friend Lorgar, his best brother. I still am not a fan of Guilliman conceptually. Yeah, there it is. I knew it. Listen, Guilliman is a character where I'm like, God damn, he's just a little boring, just a little lame. However, the parts of him that are better and really cool is him in the 40k. Him in 40k is genuinely interesting. Him in the Horus Heresy is a fucking snooze fest, just like the Ultramarines themselves. The only thing I can give him is that, like, at least Guilliman is more interesting than his sons. I just don't like the Ultramarines at all. I think they're just kind of boring, and that's okay, because I think the Ultramarines need to exist the way they do. Because, I mean, I made the big video on it. I got on my soapbox that, again, I really fight for the idea of you need to have some narrative things when it comes to 40k. This is a story. You need a faction that is the easy one to get into. You have the one that is like the poster child, where they're the face of it, and then everything else is a deviation of that. It's like Ultramarines are right in the center, and there's a giant web of like wiggly lines that connect every other character and every other chapter in Legion. That is the Ultramarine thing. I'll also state, having read more books in the coming year and being a little less inflammatory, you know what? Maybe Guilliman needs to rise up a little bit. I think, personally, I want to put him in C tier. I think it's a fair placement for him, to be honest. I think Guilliman is just a point where I think in current stories, he's really interesting. But like, it's not going to block the fact that he is just vanilla ice cream, and not even like French vanilla, not even like good vanilla, you know? He's just vanilla. All right, let's move to I guess another character. I'm spending a lot on Guilliman here, but I'm gonna give Mortarion. Mortarion's another C tier. I'm currently staring at a cardboard cutout of Guilliman and whispering that it'll be all right. It won't be all right, Guilliman. But Mortarion. Mortarion is the bane of my existence on tabletop. I hate this man playing against him because the Death Guard are probably the most aggravating faction I've ever seen in Warhammer. Or actually just any game in general. I think that Death Guard are really cool aesthetically. Like, listen, all the people that even swang in here and said that Mortarion sucks. His style, though, is sick. Like, his model is so cool. But the problem is that Mortarion is another fucking man-child. Where Mortarion's entire thing is just him coping and seething that he didn't get to kill his dad. And don't get me wrong, Emps probably didn't handle it the greatest. He could have done it a little better. Because, like many things with the Emperor, he could have turned it into a father-son bonding experience and, like, hand-in-hand decapitated his evil necromancer pops. Instead of being like, haha, you almost died to the poison cloud like I said you would. Anyways, you're mine now. That's the part I like, actually. I really like that Mortarion is so hated by everyone else, because Mortarion's the type of guy that brings down the mood of any room he's in. Probably because he fucking stinks and he has big stink tubes that, like, breathe gross air to his face. I imagine just his presence is bad to be in. But also the fact that he's just sullen and kind of annoying in that aspect where, like, God, he is so, like, up his own ass and, like, so judgmental. It was a bit, I think, in what was it? Was it horror? It was either Dark Gods, or False Gods, the second book, or the third book for the Horus Heresy series, where Mortarion shows up. Oh no, it's the third one with Nathaniel Garrow. But, like, when he shows up, and he just has like completely unpainted shit, and he's just being kind of a dickhead to Horus. It's pretty fun. I like that aspect. Though I guess the only Primarch he got along with was Horus, and even then, Jesus. He leans hard in the gimmick in the Dark Imperium to the degree it makes it more enjoyable than with Lorgar Perturabo. I can see that. I can completely see that, honestly. Again, I need to finish Dark Imperium. It looks super cool, but Mortarian's just kind of fun in that aspect. If everyone dunks on him, he's so gross and awful. But on the other hand, his aesthetic is top. Like, top tier. Holy shit. Is one of Morty's Primarch powers the ability to drain the life out of someone? I don't know, actually. That is a good question. I've never read that. By the way, Mortarion and Typhus also hate each other with such purity. Yeah, that I also love. I really, really like the fact that they fucking hate each other. In the aspect that they lean on very different aspects of Nurgle. Because Typhus is really far in the, like, spreading pestilence and giving the gifts of Nurgle, when Mortarion really plays into the idea of stagnancy and the fact he kind of sits around and sulks most of the time, which I enjoy that. I like that we're getting both aspects of the Chaos God, but built into that. So you have like both sides of the same gross disease cauldron coin, you know? Which I respect that. I really like that. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, there's the part I know that's in the Dark Imperium too, where Typhus just fucking leaves with a bunch of Death Guard, and Mortarion's like, "Where are you going? We have a war to fight." And he's like, "Later, loser. Nurgle told me to go somewhere else," which I think is hilarious. The Amber King made a short about the Primarch abilities, and he said that Mortarion drains the vitality out of anyone. I mean, hey, if that's true, that's a pretty dope power. I also am not saying that like you're wrong or anything. I just haven't read it. So, that's new information to me. That is pretty cool, though. Also, I trust the Amber King. I think he's pretty cool. He is one of the 40k content creators I still enjoy. Though, admittedly, I don't watch many 40k YouTubers anymore since, like, making 40k content. Because, I do a lot of reading, I gotta say. So, a lot of times, I don't want to watch a 40k video when I'm, just not reading 40k. I have a lot of weird video essays or podcast shit that I listen to instead. All right, I guess moving off of Mortarion, Corax. Corax is another Primarch that I changed my opinion of. I'm putting him in A tier. I like Corvus. Actually, wait a sec. Do I want to put him in A tier? Okay, I'm gonna talk this out and then see if I want to raise him or not. Because I really like Corvus, but I'm trying to, like, because Corvus Corax, I think, is a really cool Primarch in the aspect I think he's playing a really cool, like, loner type in a fun way. I really like the Raven Guard. I love his, like, teachings of the Raven Guard, too. I love his methodology. I really like some of the parts how he's written. Granted, the book Deliverance or Deliverance Lost or whatever, I thought fucking sucked. I genuinely did not like that book, but that also could be the fact it's narrated on Audible by my least favorite 40k audiobook reader. I forget the name of him, but I genuinely don't like that. Let me find it. Biggest shock that I didn't put Corax in S tier. I know, that's I just I don't know. I want to, but I feel like, see, this is also me being like, I don't want to crowd a tier, but like, I like Warhammer, Just for the jetpack is fair as well. Okay. He's going S tier. I love Corvus. I love Corvus Corax. He's so cool. I love me good old Bird. He is, he's such a fun character. I like his weapons. Obviously, his drip is fantastic. As a young, edgy edgelord fan, my favorite character growing up was Shadow the Hedgehog. I was a big Shadow the Hedgehog kid, so yeah, Corvus appeals to where I'm like, God, he's so fucking just so dark and brooding, so goofy. Also the fact of where he is currently, I think he is one of the best Primarch leaving scenes, or at least concept, not even just scene, not referencing the actual book it happens in. But the whole aspect, he is one of the few characters in Warhammer, and like kind of the only. Gilman, I think, would be the only other one who like feels genuine guilt over the actions of the Horus Heresy. Like he is cursed with the burden of empathy, which I adore. For what it's worth, there's an amazing scene in one of the Dawn of Fire books where an Iron Warrior remembers Istvan where an angry Korak shows up and tears apart tanks with bare hands. It still haunted this particular Iron Warrior 10 millennia later. That is terrifying. See, that's the part that's so cool about Corvus Corax, is the fact that he's fucking scary. And a lot of people are just like, yeah, he's, you know, stealth, edgy Birdman. But then, like, currently, he leaves real space, he goes into the Eye of Terror to hunt down the Primarchs. Granted, he's done a bad job of it for the 10,000 years, he hasn't caught any of them yet. Though, hilariously, he's just harassing Lorgar as, like, a big, shape-shifting, like, shadow bird demon. Not actually a demon, but, you know. And terrified Lorgar to the point of locking himself in, like, his special magic tower. That is so fucking funny. And the fact that consistently a lot of characters have like, that level of just fear of Corvus. It is very that is sick. I wanna see that scene, because you know what, that would scare an Iron Warrior. The idea of someone just ripping apart their battle machines and their tanks with their bare hands. Jesus. Horus. I have to do this. I have to. Horus is A tier. I don't think Horus is like fantastic, and the thing that really stops him from going up into S, to be honest, is the fact of books after the first couple Horus Heresy books exist. I think that he is fantastically written in the first few books. After that, later on, he does go more and more into the conniving evil villain arc, where he's really just fallen to chaos and is, like, awful. And, like, the really interesting parts of his character are kind of not as present, which is sad, because his personality in the first two books is, like, his fall, like, the actual writing of his fall up to the point where he decides to do the heresy is fantastic. It's very well done. Also, I have to like Horus, because I'm a big Black Legion simp, and so his death is that important, you know? He's another Primarch where I'm happy that he died, and I hope they don't try to bring him back at some point, because that'll be really disappointing. The story, I think, is overall cheapened by the fact if he comes back. Yeah, with Horus, I'm amazed on how much the Heresy series managed to make him work. I agree on the flaws, but the baseline set by GW is just absurd. Yes, literally yes. It's the fact that, like, everything I mentioned in this stream, for all of you who have been here, like, the whole time, which y'all are very cool, the whole fact that with everything they had to deal with, all the bullshit where they're having to write in reverse, string all these events together, the fact that they did work and get Horus to be just genuinely good and working in the story is impressive. Because there's a universe out there where they didn't, and the Horus Heresy fumbled. I think that Dan Abnett set an absolutely fantastic set of building blocks that everyone else pulled from, for better or for worse. I like that Horus, though, really also plays the idea of being this really powerful, scary military leader, but really playing the diplomat. He's very good at playing the political game. I don't think he likes it as much, which is what makes it fun. Like, for example, the whole thing with him being War Master. There's that scene in Horus Rising where they're deciding to send the Luna Wolves down to 6319 or 5319, whatever, the planet that they're trying to go on. And there's that rebellion, and he's like, do we send the Luna Wolves down? And he has to play that part of being the leader that is not immediately wanting to, like, wage horrible warfare, which I respect. I think it's very cool. The glimpses we get of Horus before he falls are fucking awesome. And then overall, like, later, you get to hear a lot of his, like, insecurities about his position and his issues with his dad. Is really fun. I like, overall, his character is set up fantastically. Do they pay off? I don't know. I also haven't read the final books. I've been hearing mixed things. Some people say they're great. Some people say they're dog shit. So I don't know where Horus's character ends yet. But, like, man. But I guess continuing on, we have Vulcan. Vulcan is, I think, it is another S tier. I like Vulcan a lot. He's, again, another hot take. Vulcan is just a fun character. He's also just a nice guy, which is kind of nice to see. It's nice to have a couple of those. And also the fact that Vulcan, oh my god, he has to deal with so much, and a lot of his sequences are fucking awesome. God, there's a lot I like about Vulcan, and it's all like little strands that I catch and I'll pull together to make up his character. Yeah, into the fires of battle, into the anvils of war. It's like him and his boys, him and the salamanders are very cool. Genuinely saying this, if I didn't get into Raven Guard, it was going to be salamanders, because I think the salamanders are awesome, and Vulcan makes up a lot of that. It's just Corax is more of my personal taste, because Corax is a little edgier, and I like me some edge. Vulcan's cool. I really like the whole aspect, like his relationship with his kids. The whole treasure hunt bit for his return is a little weird, don't get me wrong. Yeah, the treasure hunt does, I like the concept of it. It's one of those things where you hear the idea of it, where you're like, yeah, he's building a treasure hunt for his kids, go find all of his best creations, and then, whoa, he'll return. Like, that's a cool idea. I think it's very fun. The problem is, once you expand on Vulcan's character and, like, read about it, you're like, this doesn't feel like it fits. Like, you know? It's that part where that feels weirdly obtuse in, like, for a character like Vulcan. I just don't see that being in character for him at all. But last up we got Magnus, who, easy S tier. I love Magnus. Magnus is very cool in the fact that he is so fucking tragic. I love him. I love the fact that his fall is just so, like, set up as he's just stumbling his way through fate, with some parts that are just bad writing, admittedly. I really like the arrogant genius in 40k, because, oh my god, they're so fun, because they're such assholes. And Magnus is like that. He's very arrogant. He's also very, like, egocentric in that idea that he just kind of plays into the whole bit of he is this scholarly genius delving into the secrets of the universe, discovering psychic powers and all that, like mastering that aspect. But, you know, he also prioritizes that to the detriment of others. Like the fact in the Heresy, Great Crusade, he would just dip during battle and be like, hey, yo, we got some intel, some cool psychic shit is leaving, or some cool psychic shit is, like, over that away, so, like, let me go pick it up real quick. Which is great. I think it's super fun. And then his brothers got really pissed at him for it for good reason. In his Primarch novel, I had to suppress the urge to poke his remaining eye out. Yeah. It's just, that's the fun of Magnus. I think he's arrogant like that, and I enjoy that. Magnus is really interesting in that character archetype for 40k. In the fact that he gets shit on way more constantly than the other very arrogant characters, because just going along with Tzeentch just unknowingly and unwillingly, where he believes that he's greater than Tzeentch's direct, like, influence, but he isn't. Like, the whole bit where he thinks he knows better, but also, on the other hand, a lot of the problems when it comes to Magnus and his fall is purely because the Emperor wouldn't communicate. Yeah, he's nice, but he's also an ass. Yeah, that's what I like about him. There's something with the sorcerer that just couldn't comprehend that Magnus would ever fall, which adds a lot to his character. Yeah, actually. The fact that Magnus, I think, in the story, has the most chance to be one of the loyalists is really good. I think that's my problem with Magnus when it comes to the execution of him. Because as we were talking about before, there's a whole aspect when it comes to these Primarchs of writing in reverse. And I directly talked about the Fall of Prospero, like the whole sieging of it. And the fact that aspect feels really forced. That is, like, the hiccup. That's the one hiccup that I think his story has. Because where he ends up makes sense. I think it works. I really like it. The path there is great until you get to the actual, like, ending of the siege where he just is acting a little out of character and weird. The fact that he's going there with decent intentions on every step of the way makes him really fun. You know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And he's always trying to help. He's trying to do something right. The fact that he just fucked up the Imperial Palace and his father's plans because he was directly fucking there in the vision where Erebus was giving Horus to like go trade her. He like Magnus broke his way into that vision and was there and directly was trying to break Horus out of it and like, hey, don't fucking listen to this guy. Like, this is insane. And then, you know, Horus is like, you know what? Fuck you, Erebus. I hate you, but I agree. And like that sequence, and then immediately panicking and being like, God, fuck, I have to go tell Dad. And in that moment of like pure just unthinking panic, he fucks everything up by psychically projecting himself. I think his actions are really fair. Like, they're very understandable why they happen and why he gets roped into all of it. What do you think Magnus should have done instead? Like, you mean in general, like, just where he should have stopped at his actions? Because I don't think that there was a position where he could have done something different. Not even saying, like, he made the right decision at every point. I think he obviously fucked up. But I think that anything else would go against his character. I think Magnus is the product of a lot of people playing games that are above his head that he thinks he's a participant of. To that aspect, I don't think I can state what I believe Magnus should have done different. I think that a lot of other people in his surroundings could have done a little better with Magnus. Especially because, like, of all people, Magnus was honestly a good dude. His biggest flaw is that he's just really arrogant and prioritized the wrong thing. But yeah, that is my new Primarch, the new official Primarch ranking that I'll have. You know, I'm also kind of happy that as this went on, things elevated more than they dropped, which I think is all right. You know, there's a thing that I try to do when I come into the things I cover, in that I think there's a lot of weird hyper negativity when it comes to like Warhammer, when it comes to Vampire the Masquerade, when it comes to anything like that, which, don't get me wrong, I think you can critique all this shit. You can critique anything, you can be upset, you can have your negative opinions on it. Like, I think it's very fair coming into Warhammer and talking about how some of the writing is shit, because it is, don't get me wrong. But also, like, I don't know, we're all in here in this hobby because we like it. So I like really going hard on the stuff that's positive and good about 40k, because like we're all here just to learn and have and like talk about this dumb, goofy, over the top sci-fi setting. So yeah, that's basically the stream. I'm happy that I'm just happy that I guess my opinion on all these, because I actually haven't thought about this until like I sat down here today to record this purposefully. I was very, very pointedly trying to not pre-plan this, because in the moment, on the spot, talking about it with like chat like this, I think it leads to one more organic things coming up. And also I feel like it's more honest if I come up with it in my reasoning in the moment rather than writing it all out and like trying to make my own list beforehand. Because otherwise I feel like I would try to force myself to stay more like completely consistent with my old list, like double down on everything. But now I just gained more appreciation for more things in the universe. Which, yeah, for like this new year, like it's very fun. The growth of this 2023 was a pretty fun year for everything here. A lot of people like finding the channel, contributing in fun ways. I enjoy that there's a community that I guess engages with my stuff in really, like, I think proper and legit ways. Because I think my worry is that people come in and then kind of I guess because I'm making like a jokier thing, it means that I'm not here to like actually earnestly talk about it like we have today, which I appreciate. I appreciate that I have a community that'll actually spout their opinions in a cool way instead of being a bunch of dicks about it. So good on all of you. So yeah, I'll see you all next video, I guess, next stream. I have some other ideas for streams, and mainly, as long as I'm not a streamer where I sit playing a video game completely quietly, I'm set. Thanks, I appreciate that, Sign of Blood. But, alright, I will catch you all later then.